right, welcome everyone to the September 9th, 2022 meeting of the Cable Television Advisory Board for the City of Nashua. We'll begin with a roll call. Steve Buxton is not here. Lauren Byers?
Here.
Andrew Sonoda is here. Justin Chapman is not. Joe Fay?
Here.
Alderman Ernest Juddy? Kimberly Kleiner?
Here.
Cheryl Linder is today replaced. We have a temporary designate from the mayor's office.
Jenny Alden.
All right, if you want the microphone, just so we catch that.
Jenny Alden.
All right, thank you. Jennifer McCormick is not here. Nick Mazerovich?
Here.
And Cole Morgan is not here. We have joining with us representatives.
Mr. Chair, Greg Rodriguez is also on the list, but not present.
Oh, yes, thank you. Okay. We also have with us representatives from BRB TV to provide an update. And let's see. First item on the agenda is public comment. I see we do have members of the public with us today. Do either of you have any comments?
Lori Ortolano, 41 Berkeley Street. Just a couple things. I know this is all getting started. I just want to, give my 2 cents on how important I think balance is in broadcasting. I think when we have a two-party system in this country, we need to listen to both sides and have representation from both sides. So I really think we all benefit by that. I would like to request, more televising of our public meetings. We have a lot of different meetings that are not regularly scheduled, like our tax incremental finance district, our performing arts center, our downtown improvement committee. And downtown improvement is more of a regular meeting, but the other two are more periodic. I think those are high public interest activities in this, events in this city. And I think it would be nice to see those meetings televised. And a number of them are meeting in the auditorium upstairs in a room that has the television capability, but they're not being televised. Part of it is the time they're at noon or in the morning. So I think televising those meetings would be great if we could expand that. And I think for our senior citizens, I know I've heard a number of people say that there isn't enough programming during the day. I noticed last week when I turned on cable, it said, it was a message board that said no programming available at this time or something. And that's been running a fair amount where there's just no programming. And I think it's important to even recycle these meetings. And I think seniors like that, especially during the day, they're up. It's when they want to see what's going on. And I've heard them say that some of the programming is stopped. And also if there could be a like TV guide, some sort of guide that would show them where the programming is going to be run, that would be super helpful for everyone. Because it could be a lot of repeats, which is fine, but you may want to just find the program you're interested in. And having some guide service for that would be awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. I think, Mr. Painter, maybe when we get to your report, if you could address, I know some of those are things that we've been working on. All right. Seeing no other members of the public present, we'll move on to acceptance of minutes from the previous meetings. I believe you all received copies of the July minutes. Is there a motion?
Motion to accept and place on file.
There's a motion to accept and place on file. Any discussion of the motion? If not, we'll call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, the motion passes. And I think that's our first voice vote since COVID, so we're making progress.
Feels good.
Yes. Communications. You should have all received copies of the city's report regarding operations. And In your packets this morning, there's a copy of the report from BRB. So you should all have that. Is there a motion with regard to the correspondence? Accept and place on file? And then we'll get into actually discussing them.
Motion to accept and place on file.
All right, any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. All right, Mr. Painter, would you like to
Yeah,
begin?
thank you, Mr. Chairman. Our current balance of the operating account 2505 is $573,668.45. Our expenses for August of 2022, including salaries and facility operations, totaled $28,623. We had 3,311 cable casts total from June to August. And of those, 104 were live events, and this broke down to Public 96.3, Education 99.55, and Government 46. Excuse me. We had 3,206 playbacks, and of this, the Public 96 had 1,519, Education 99 had 877, and Government 16 had 811. And I will now pass it over to Pete.
Mr. Johnson?
Okay, sorry, I was looking for something else there.
Oh,
Up here. All right, as far as the education channel is concerned, it was a pretty busy summer for us. Starting back on June 1st, we had started our coverage of Silver Knights baseball at Holman Stadium, and then we had a Nashua North-South baseball game the next day. Excuse me, on the 4th, did live coverage of the Exeter South baseball game. On the 8th, we had another Silver Knights, this time the Education Day game, after morning game that was held at Holman. On the 13th, and 14th, we did the graduations for both North and South high schools live from Stellos. On the 16th, we recorded a Nashua Public Health Matters in the studio. We also had live coverage of the 8th grade promotion ceremony at Pennachuck Middle School on the 21st. Also that day was the city budget public hearing at Nashua North. On the 22nd, we had live coverage again of the Silver Knights on both the 22nd and 29th. As far as July is concerned, we had live coverage of the July 4th activities and fireworks from Holman Stadium. On the 6th, we did our first box lunch concert from the Nashua Library, and we did 4 of those each Wednesday during the month of July. We also recorded another 2 public health matters that month, and had another couple of baseball games at Holman. And we also, once again, I think for the 3rd year in a row, recorded the New Hampshire Girls Hockey Invitational Tournament. And then in August, we had live coverage at the end of the Silver Knights season, including 2 playoff games that were held here in Nashua. We did another Public Health Matters on the 11th. We recorded the McCarthy Middle School groundbreaking on the 18th. Also that evening, we did the Nashua Public Health Monkeypox Forum that was held at the library, and recorded Public Health Matters on the 26th. And that's my activity report for the quarter.
Okay.
I guess it'll go back to me now.
Yes, please.
The Public Works Conference Room build. Nashua CTV is in the process of identifying the technology requirements in order to cover various departmental meetings held in the new Public Works Conference Room upon completion of the facility. We will then move forward based on those requirements, aligning with the not to exceed $70,000 figure this board has already approved. And then we're in the process of doing that right now. We recently hired a new videographer to replace Tyler, who left nearly a year ago. Bruce Hillsmeyer recently relocated to the area from the Maine and has experience in providing televised meeting coverage for the small community outside of Portland. We are also looking at additional candidates to increase our complement of on-call videographers. And that would be something that, Mrs. Ortolano, that would address what you were asking. Because a lot of times, what's happened, that we can't cover is it's manpower. We just, don't have it during the day, so we are trying to add more videographers on. The other thing is, I'll look into all the ones that you had mentioned, that we're not covering and see what we can do. Yep.
And if you wanted to touch briefly on the schedule, the TV guide comment, because that actually meshes with some of the discussion that we had about
I know Comcast was looking into it.
Didn't they come back and say that it's not technically possible in
Not
this area
feasible at
yet?
this
There are some
point.
other
Right,
areas
that
of the
they were going to
country
be working
where
on
it
it.
could, and that, they would let us know when that was available. I also think that we could make the schedule, it is available on the internet, but it's about 3 or 4 clicks away once you get to the city website, maybe figuring out a way
Make it
to
a little
make it
easier
a
to
little
get to.
more
Yeah.
available to the homepage. I don't know where the comments, the meetings aren't being rerun, because they certainly are.
Yeah, because I do all the time. We rerun like yesterday,
During the
all
day.
the meetings that were, now, we only had 2 that were running for this week because we had 2 meetings, but they were constantly repeating themselves all day long.
Okay.
But I'll check into it, just make sure I'm more diligent in that. Yep.
Ms. Kleiner?
Kim Kleiner, I think part of the issue might be that people aren't necessarily going to the website. They may not know, like I do when I want to watch a show or a rerun, I know I can go to the website and I can get that information on their page. It may be we could look into putting a slide that just repeats for, the shows coming up today are in the show, or the
Okay.
replay and the time. I would, it is a manpower issue.
Yep.
And to that, I would like to just give a little bit of a update on, we have asked Jeff and Pete and Dan to engage with us on a project that we are doing for the city to tackle that issue of, and it's not just us, it's every business across the country right now is having hiring issues, right? So we're developing, going to be working on a video and some messaging that we can put on the website to kind of market the city and the positions that we have open as another way to attract candidates. So the staff's working on that and the production of that as well. But it is an issue across the country of manpower.
Great, thank you.
One more
Mr.
thing.
Johnson.
Another thing Ms. Ortolano mentioned was that she had looked at the screen and it said no programming or something like that. There was one morning, I think it was last week, where the bulletin board system sort of run out of information. It goes by date. And as soon as we got in there and noticed that it was, it said no programming, we had it corrected. But that's part of the bulletin board system saying that this date. So I think, I don't know, Dan could probably tell you at what time that's scheduled now. I think I try to schedule mine for a year in advance, but I always forget when it comes up to redo it. And I find that message at some point on my channel as well. So.
All right.
Just one thing,
Mr. Painter.
this also it would require access to the internet, but you can get, every one of our meetings are on YouTube. And normally, certainly the government ones, I have up there between 8 and 10 a.m. the next morning. So, but it does require being on the internet.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
All right, Mr. Bartos and Mr. Russell, would you like to present your report?
Testing. Who does the audio in here anyway? Is it us? Are you guys in charge of the audio here?
Yes, we do.
It's a little low, I think. Well, one of the big concerns was transition. You know, unfortunately, with the passing of Dick, it wasn't as easy as we would have liked it to be, because I had a relationship with him, as others did, and trying to retain those that were doing shows in a comfortable manner was the number one priority, and it was accomplished. And that was accomplished because of Dan Young, his relationship, his professionalism, working with each individual, because changes can be tough, especially at this level. And it was seamless, and they've all stayed on, which is fantastic. We have increased a tremendous amount of programming, changed the image. It's now called Nashua Public Television. Nice logo. I've got some pictures if anybody wants to see what we did to the outside of the entrance. Power washed 2 inches of mold off the side of that thing and repainted the whole sides. Redid the doors, and thanks to the DPW, new gravel and weeds cut back, and boy, does it look nice when you're walking down. Now, Pete, prior to us getting there, had some privacy screen that they had ordered. Well, we installed that, so when people walk down the aisle to get in the door, they don't see the compound yard of the police department. So it really looks presentable when you walk in there right now. I kind of like that image. You're coming in, and it looks great. The inside looks great. Programming and learning software, I mean, we have a in writing so you can read it, because it's kind of a lot to go through, but lots of training on software, and I've been out meeting everybody that I can, talking about doing television shows. I mean, we've increased that programming quite a bit in less than 2 months to 252 something hours of new programming on public television in just 2 months, including a lot of people that were very apprehensive before about going in, including a friend of mine, Cindy Rosenwald, and she's brought on just about everybody. She's a natural. We love her on there. Melanie Levesque, Laura Tolersky. These people were really apprehensive about being on the television before, but they seem to be pretty comfortable when they only wanted to do 15 minutes now. Now they're asking me, you got any more time? All right, that's what we wanted. And then just letting the public see a lot of what their public dollars are going for. I'm focusing on those types of programming right now, okay? As you can, I'm haunting her. She probably was like him again. It reminds me of Mary Goyette, and for those of you who know her, who was one of the most tenacious women I've ever met in my life. But when she wanted to get something done, she usually did. And I think that the people that are paying money would like to see where the tax dollars are going. So we're going to do a DPW recreation show. We're going to be doing some shows on mechanical walkarounds on our bus terminal and how that works. So these types of things, of course, an inside walk around of the Performing Arts Center. Mayor and I will be starting a show later in September, inviting all of the aldermen, and just trying to fill up that dial with local content for people to be entertained with. The billboard, which you guys talked about before, we've made it a little bit more interesting now because we have video that plays along on the side of the bulletin board, so you can see the farmer's market or the river and the ducks or Main Street traffic, and soon enough, live cameras will be up on that. We've started to install cameras throughout the city that are live. They are on the brbtv.live website and on WSMN. We're using the radio exclusively to help promote these shows as well, just to try to get some more viewership. And now everybody has a link to their YouTube. All of the shows that are recorded go up on the National Public Television 96 YouTube channel, and you can watch them on the archived ones. And I'm actually being able to see how many times shows have been viewed. And in 7 weeks, we have some that have had 162 views already. And I mean, that's astounding, you know, because it's the content, you know. There's a lot more in writing on there, and I don't want to take up a lot of time. You can read it for some of you that can. I know one of the biggest things is that BRB TV can record shows remotely in the field and in the studio. We can edit all of the recording videos, and we can schedule the shows via the Hypercaster software, which was one of our goals to do for September, and we met that, so we're able to do our own shows if need be. I didn't say this guy is he's the key to why that works. He's an amazing man, just absolutely amazing human, and I meet a lot of them. So we're not changing that there, but if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have been able to do that. We're in a lot of training right now with Telview Corporation and their software on, you know, some extra dazzle that we can learn to do to make it a little bit more interesting when you're watching the television right now for public. But we're out there trying to get as many new programs as we can. Of course, coming up in September, we will have the police department blue light special show. We'll have the fire department's red light special show, DPW, the bus terminal as well. I've got, of course, the mayor and I just started a series last week with public health in Spanish, French, and Portuguese. That started last week, and all three of them come in and record that. And that's a task for guys like us that don't know what we're doing when it comes to that language, and they've helped us out a lot, so we can put it inside. And we'll be talking in the next probably 6 months between Jeff, Pete, and myself about obtaining the proper components through Telview for closed caption. We already know the expense to that. It's pretty high, but something that we should discuss as a team, because it's really needed. I did my first editing of a video yesterday with that in it and put it up, and it is fantastic. I am blown away how accurate it was on a 30-minute program. A lot of people can't come in to do the studio, so I'm out doing the videoing. Like I just did an awesome walkthrough, virtual tour of the Nashua Senior Center. Judy hosted it. 30 minutes it took, and then I used the software to subtitle it. It took about 2 hours, but it did it. And then when I posted it up, it was unbelievable how accurate it was. Not one mistake in proper grammar as well. So now not only can you watch it, if you want the volume down, you can read it. So we're trying to do that. The next step is to do it in different languages, because we have a diverse population here in the city. So we're just trying to hit everyone we can, and I think we've moved very fast in 2 months' time. Bob, do you want to add anything to that?
Sure. Bob Bartis. In echoing what Mr. Russell has said, I think we've come a long way since the start of the contract on July 1st, and those numbers are outlined in our presentation. 3 weeks in, I know this board met relative to the franchise agreement contract. We provided a bullet point list of what was done in the first 3 weeks at that time, and then that is why today's report references a date in the middle of July. That explains. I did not want to duplicate or reproduce that the original record from July will stand. We've now supplemented. So the highlights from that are that I sat down with Pete. We went through the numbers, and they are reflected here that Channel 96 has run 1,048 shows. 579 hours were programmed during the BRB run. 235 of those programs were first run now through this, I don't want to call it quarter because we're not through the completion, but that is there. Mr. Russell talked about the infrastructure that we've done. We've talked about the training. I would echo his thoughts. George and I would not be at the level of where we are now without Mr. Dan Young. He has been absolutely the key to where we are. If we did not have him, this presentation may be different. It absolutely would be different. Aside from that, I've had several meetings with Mr. Johnson. I've had lunch with Jeff and Pete. We've done some team building. We've had dinner and a movie, which we've entitled Dinner and Judging. We were asked as part of the Nor'easter Awards program this jurisdiction was asked to review 13 videos, documentaries from other jurisdictions, rate and provide feedback. We had dinner and 13 documentaries that we went through. Mr. Johnson has relayed some content to us that I will be attending a annual summit, annual summit for New Hampshire CCM. I think it's closed circuit. Yes, CCM.
Coalition for Community Media.
That one on September 29th over in Derry. So we anticipate going over for that. Art Colvin has been one of our hands-on part of BRB TV, who has been working on a daily basis with Mr. Young. Harlan Smith has also been involved in the editing, so we have 2 past individuals that worked with Dick Gagnon's company, now working with us as part of that transition. The hosts from the prior contract under Mr. Gagnon, Mr. Russell has contacted them. They've come in, they've done shows. They've continued to work with Mr. Young. So for them, it's a seamless transition. George and I are behind the scenes. We've done our best to greet them, meet them, work with them, bringing on the new shows as well. I think it's also important to note, let me look here, that we continue to grow and we continue to advance how Nashua and the surrounding community can see the community access. As we know, and one of the questions that we've had in our interview process was, there's only so many subscribers in the city of Nashua. There are only so many that continue to have a cable box. There was some discussion about Roku and whether certain people could find the streaming services that were out there. I think it's important to note that George and I have taken brbtv.live, and I would encourage everybody here in attendance today to go to that website. Once you bring that up, Channel 96 automatically starts playing. Simply by going to the website. It is no further click away. It will automatically start playing. You will be prompted with a screen if you would like to bookmark this web page to your homepage. You can now see it. Comparatively, we have added a Performing Arts Center camera that is stationed at WSMN, looking across, that's on 24/7. That link is on brbtv.live. The Main Street cameras that are on WSMN have been linked to now play on public access. The community bulletin boards, instead of just a static bulletin board when you're done reading, you have nothing to do, you now have the time, you have some B-roll footage of Main Street, the river, the ducks that we've talked about. And I think one of the other things that we said we were going to do, and we have, and as part of our contract, we are cross-promoting Nashua Public Access TV on WSMN. If you go to for TV, you will see everything for cable access. If you go to WSMN.live, you can click the link to listen to our radio program, or one scroll down, cable access automatically starts playing on the WSMN website. So any listener of WSMN who goes to the site to stream automatically now has the option to go to Channel 96 and stream that, and can also see the other cameras. So the cross-promotion between WSMN and Channel 96 is something that we endeavored to do, and I'm pleased to say that this is where we're at right out of the gate. From a
Rookie.
We also said in our contract that we would be reviewing policies, procedures, forms, all of that. Those were going to be up on the site by September 1st. They are up there. They are still in draft form. They're working. We couldn't really draft policies and procedures and look at the forms and edit until we actually got a hands-on experience within the studio. Those are now up. Hosts can download, sign those, bring those in, or we'll have them on a clipboard ready to go whenever a host or a guest is there. We also now have the ability to, going to brbtv.live, you can see the program schedule, you can book studio time. Click, and you automatically have an option to take that 2:30, 4 o'clock, or 5:30 appointment. That is up on the site. Anybody can see what we're booking for 3 o'clock and 4 o'clock today. So I think the question is, what was going to be some of the programming available on TV? It's available on the website, and we'll continue to do that. I think the final point, again, without being repetitive, I want to thank Jeff, and for Pete, and particularly Dan Young, for embracing us, getting us in there, training us, and allowing us to put forth what we anticipated and planned so early in the process.
So most people are using the internet today. We tried to just make it as, for people over 70 and younger to be able to negotiate this really quickly. We used to have links on the old website, which was the community access one that you'd have to click for previous programming. But now, they're all YouTubeable, and all you need to do is just go. Those go to all the playlists. All right? So you can watch anything you want, and then with the promotions. I can tell you the viewership's already up on 96 because each host brings new people. And that was my secret on the radio. New guy or gal gets a show, they're gonna tell people, hopefully the show following that's good, and you build that way. But all the new personalities on there, and including the community that speaks different languages. Yeah, they can start getting some of their information that they normally do with the public health show in 3 different languages. I mean, that's huge. And the more comfortable that they get inside the television studio, the more shows they'll do. One of our, little pet thing that I've had since day one on the radio was the Arlington Community Center, Arlington Street Community Center. We went over there for the grand opening of it many years ago. Well, there's a new director, and it didn't take me long to lasso her on the radio and do a show in which she's done several already, and it's got over 75 views on YouTube. Don't ask me how, because it's just this community center. And she does the best she can do with a very small building and the activities coming right in. But she's getting more comfortable. Now she's starting to bring guests on. The shows are going a little bit longer. So the trend of what we want to do is just what we're doing. Keep building programming, quality programming, and promote the you-know-what out of it. Our new bumper stickers, shirts, and safety vests. When the guys are out filming, they have a vest on that says Nashua Public Television. We have the big black door magnets go on the side of the vehicle. They say Nashua Public Television. So when we show up on a remote site, they say, oh, TV. I mean, you know how that works. And there's probably a ton more, but that's where we're at right now on the little bit of September here. If there's any questions or anything.
I actually have a question. During the RFP process, one of the important things that we talked about was expanding the producer base and having more people producing programs as Nashua residents. I was wondering if you've touched on it a few times with some anecdotal examples, but I was wondering if you could tell us your strategy for recruiting new producers, and how many new producers you've added since taking over.
Because we've been in the radio business for so long, and because television throughout the country has its own language, we have our own language, and which is in our policies and procedures. The people that are sitting behind a camera or microphone are called hosts. A producer is a guy like Dan Young, myself, Arthur, Holland, who edit the material, put it together as one thing, and then present it. That's how we understand it. So just so we're on, that's my language, you can speak your language. The strategy is me. That's the strategy. You have to hit the road and knock on doors and talk to people. Something that's probably never been done because basically that's not what this was designed for. It was designed to have a door open for the public to come in and get a show. Well, all of these are because I've knocked on their doors and spoke to them about it. I meet people, I go to businesses. How you doing? Would you like to host a television show? One of the big conflicts, and I want this to go on record, that started way off in the beginning before we got the contract attorney, is the conflict of, we don't want WSMN 1590 to make money off this. Or there's going to be a conflict. They can't be selling airtime and doing TV. Well, let me tell you something. My business is getting killed. We're hurting on SMN because when I offer somebody to be on TV free or to pay me $100 an hour for a year in advance, they're not buying airtime on the radio no more. There is no conflict. We're getting killed. So when you present to them they can be on TV because we do a service to the community, Nashua, well, they're really apprehensive, but I have to coach them, come on in, show them around, let them meet Dan, because let me tell you something, if you're apprehensive and you meet him, you won't be afterwards. He makes you so comfortable. They do it and they come out with a finished product and then they spread the word, but it's basically knocking on doors and going to business. I've had so many meetings, at least 100 with different people. Not everybody wants to be on TV, but that's how we're building it. Now, I can give you some of the names, of course, because it's in our first one.
Right.
Some of the shows since July, Elaine Holden, she is the president of one of the education boards in the state of literacy in the state of New Hampshire. She is a brilliant woman, and she does a show called Education Matters. Lou Chipola I brought on that does a weekly update on what's happening at Post 483 right here in Nashua from the VFW. James Klein, who's a veteran that works with other veterans that may have mental issues, suicidal thoughts. He has a show called Changing the Stigma. That guy's show has been viewed on YouTube over 85 times, each one of his shows. So he's getting a following there. Scott Hawley, that's our #1 show on YouTube anyway right now, because he owns a business on Main Street, and I met him many, many years ago and finally said, hey, this guy would be great. He does a show called Pick His Corner and brings in 2 pieces of antiques each week and sits for a half hour talking about them. And it's killing it right now. It's called Pick His Corner. Of course, we said Jessica of Arlington Street Community Center. Mike Affelberg used to do a show on there, but he's been doing a show on the radio for 5 years with us. And I said, you did a show on public before, and he knows Dan. And he says, yeah. I said, well, why don't you come back? He goes, that's a good idea. And he's back. So he does a United Way show, Living United with whoever it might be, and he comes in to do that on Mondays. I just mentioned the 3 shows in 3 different languages right there. Judy Porter also is on, who's going to be doing a weekly series on the Senior Activity Center. One of our biggest things that we'll be moving into in the next 5 months is the new athletic director from Riviera, who I've had several meetings with, and I've had him on the show. He is an unbelievable man. His name is Jonathan Hopper. He's the new athletic director at Riviera University. He has a tremendous amount of TV experience in their local community where he used to be, and he's just loving, can't wait to meet Pete and Dan and those to talk about the ideas that they used to do. So we'll be doing quite a bit of shows for Riviera University, whether they're sports or their sports journalist programming that they have, but going to be a lot with Riviera. They're going to take up a lot of television time on there. We'll be doing a blue light special with the National Police Department. It's basically, I have yet to make my appearance on TV yet because I want to build everybody up to build these shows so that when I come on, you know, I'm feeling comfortable about doing TV because I'll do like I did on the radio and basically have the chief of police or deputy chief come on, and we're going to be introducing officers to the public, you know, new guys and stuff, and whatever chief and I have come up with how he's going to do it, but he's committed to doing a show with me on the thing, whether it's 15 minutes or a half hour. And the same thing with the fire department. We'll be doing something with the fire department, and we're going to be doing a walk around next week, videotaping the new trucks that the people just bought in the city of Nashua. We'll have a mechanic and the chief, you know, narrating as we videotape those. These are playing on that side billboard where people send in stuff that we put up there on a picture so people can read what event's happening. Well, we dialed that up, but on the right-hand side, now you have a video with no audio. So if it's a walk around at the farmer's market, there's subtitles. This is farmer's market, come down and see it. Or the river or Main Street or the fire trucks and some stuff that we'll be doing with the recreation department, maybe the gardens. Just want to film them. Don't have to have a personality. We don't need audio, you know, but these are making people see what's going on out there. Lauren, and I'm not sure if the director will be doing one, but we will be getting together on that. Maya is probably the biggest one because he was apprehensive about it. But now that I'm there, he's got no choice. He's going to do a TV show. So whether it's informational on what's happening with the city for 15 minutes, or it's jovial and we're talking sports, he's going to make a presence back on public television for a little bit. I don't know what capacity we'll be doing it on there. And I'm looking forward to the transit system too, because we have a massive transit system here, and technology with these buses is second to none, and I don't think a lot of people know about it. So taking a walk around the garage and getting someone who knows that stuff inside and out to narrate while we're filming it's going to be just more public information on public television. And along with that, we now on the billboard say on the side of it, if you'd like a show on public television, email nptv96@gmail.com. That's on all the billboards. It is on the website. It is over the radio, which is why I'm killing my own business by promoting that on the radio when I'm on air, that we have available time slots for anybody that would like to do it. It's your television station. Come on down, visit us. That's why I wanted to clean it up, and it looks, let me tell you, like the Taj Mahal, where all we need now is, can you get me a red carpet, please? No, okay. Well, that would look nice, but I mean, it looks fantastic right now. So does that answer your question on hosts and shows?
I think it does. Do others have any questions? All right. If there aren't any questions, then thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And let's see. All right. So that is what we had for new business, as well as the reports. Back to public comments. Anyone? Okay. Remarks by members. Do any of our members have anything they'd like to? Ms. Kleiner.
So I want to echo, first of all, everything that Mr. Russell and Mr. Bardis had said. The success of where they are, they've been very successful, was a team effort. And so I want to personally thank Jeff and Pete and Dan Young. It was them coming together and really supporting the efforts for the good of our community. The second thing I wanted to say was Tuesday night at the Board of Aldermen will be the first reading of the franchise agreement. Then it will be assigned to a committee and hopefully back to the full board for the end of the month. So there may be questions and certainly I'll be available and others if they can be available, especially, you know, the chair, chief, Jeff and Pete. So if there are any questions, we can get them answered. I had a few the past couple weeks as Comcast and I were cleaning up the language and finalizing the language to get it to legal, and so I think we're in a good place. You know, we did finalize the fiscal 22 numbers. There was a little bit of a decline, not as much percentage-wise that we've seen in the past few years. So the year prior, we had about a 3% decrease, and we only saw about a 1% decrease for fiscal 22. So, but hopefully by the end of the month, we'll have a new franchise agreement.
Excellent, thank you. Mr.
Just
Painter.
because I almost missed this as well. It's Wednesday next week because of the election.
Oh,
Yeah, because when I was
Thank you,
scheduling, I
Jeff.
almost put it on the wrong day, so I remember
you.
that.
Interesting, time conflict. All right, any other remarks by members? If not, is there a final motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, all those in favor?
Aye.
All
Glad
those
you hit
opposed?
it.
Motion passes. All right, see
Thank
everyone at our next meeting.